In the world of wood carving, there's several different cuts. There's variations off each other, but there's really 4 basic cuts that I use all the time whenever I'm doing any kind of wood carving project. And that's the stop cut, a paring cut, push cut, and also a stab cut. And some of them are all variations of each other. And we'll demonstrate those here on this block, or on a fresh block as well. So to start out with a stop cut, which is the most basic cut you can do. And what is the point of it? It's so that it's so the blade stops. So on this block that's already done here, the stop cut was made right there, which is where I wanted the blade to stop, taking out this chunk of wood. So all you simply do is take your knife, and you can draw a line. It's always good to work with a pencil. Draw a line. That's the extent of my cut. I'm going to press in perfectly straight up and down. Could angle it depending on the project, but you rock in just like that and work that knife in. And you can see the depth of that. It's probably about 1/8 of an inch. And so that's your stop cut. That's where the blade, when I carve this way, or with my thumb guard on, I carve this way, that's where the blade's going to stop. After you've made your stop cut, this is where I'll demonstrate the paring cut. And so very similar to peeling, an apple or a potato, something like that, you're going to do a paring cut. You don't have to do it all in one pass. You can do it in a series of passes, and then that'll leave a little rooster tail typically, and you just go back, remake your stop cut, and pop out all of the chips. And press in, and then I'm going to do a push cut. And a push cut is simply pushing behind the blade up to the stop cut. Creates the same exact profile, but sometimes it's easier to hold a piece of wood this way than flipping it around and holding it this way. So, again, to repeat, you make your stop cut and do a paring cut this way, or you can do a stop cut and do a push cut. Either way, creates the same profile. There's one other cut that I use quite often, and it's a variation of a stop cut, but I call it the stab cut. And typically, I'm doing it in a mustache, on a beard, but let's draw a triangle here. And imagine the tip of your blade's going to intersect right at the very inside right there. So I go shallow from the corner here, and deepen as the knife goes in. Spin it around, keep my hand out of the way. Knife in. Spin around one more time, and I stab in all 3 spots. Just like that. And you can see the loose chip will then pop out. And you can see the profile that creates is a shallow triangle-shaped void. Another variation of the stop cut is something that's you could technically call it a linear stop cut, is taking your blade and making a void like we did here with the triangle cuts, but now we're doing it lengthwise along the piece of wood. So you just take your knife and drag the entire length of your marking, spin it around, stab in, and draw that way. And you would come back the other direction there, across the grain, and pop out the long chip. Just like we did here with just a straight linear cut, you could also do a curved cut. This is where in wood carving the application becomes more apparent, because nothing typically when you're carving is always going to be in a straight line. So what you can do is draw your center line essentially, and come off of that just a hair on either side. I'm going to go ahead and just make my stop cuts here in the edge, and then again here. And just like on this one where they intersected at the middle, I'm going to do it here as well, but this one's going to be on a curved line. So keeping my thumb out of the way, the blade slipped, I wouldn't cut myself. I'm going to follow the curve. Spin it around. Come back the other direction. You can see the chip coming out as I'm carving. And that's this lazy little S-curve, but really any application can be done from that. In this demonstration here, I carved a very flat eye. Not very realistic, but it uses a lot of the same cuts that we have just reviewed. So if I was going to redo it, and draw the shape of my eye like that, and then there's the eyelid, upper lid, and then that would be something that we painted in, but the iris and the actual color of the eye, we're going to leave that shaded in just so we know where we're going. So very simply, just to demonstrate the cuts again, I could do a stop cut here, or a stop stab almost, because I'm just not traveling very far with the blade. And then I'm going to do a linear stop cut here, drag all the way over to the other side, just like that. Then I'm going to come underneath and carve the bottom eyelid. Just follow my line, make the stop cut. Then, with my thumb guard on, my other hand out of the way, I can come back and lay the blade kind of flat down like that and pop out the chip. And so that starts to create the spherical look of an eyeball. And that's a demonstration of how to use a stop cut to start creating something. Now up here, we're going to do that linear stop cut, where we're also going to pop out the chip. So starting out here, it's going to come off the edge of the line, just the hair, lay the blade down, and drag next to it. Come back the other direction. Just like that. And so that created the little void for the eyelid.